Now on Coast TV News.
Ice melt all gone. One Lewis hardware store says even the warehouse is empty. And preparing for emergencies, the training happening in Ocean City that could make a difference on thin ice.
Bitterly cold conditions continue the next several days with zero wind chills at times, and we're tracking a possible accumulating snow event for the weekend. Details coming up.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
All sold out. No snow blowers, ice melt, or wood pellets left at this hardware store. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Welcome to our News at 11. On your screen now is last week's supply of ice melt at the Best Ace Hardware in Lewis. Now tonight, the same shelf was completely empty. You can see there. The assistant store manager tells us even the warehouse that they get shipments from is currently out of stock.
It's hard because we don't want to let our locals down, our customers down. You know, we want to provide the stuff to be safety for their front yard and their dogs and themselves walking down their driveway or sidewalks. I mean, we tried our best, and we're going to still keep trying and try to bring stuff in.
And the assistant manager also tells us they're not sure when that next shipment is going to come in. They recommend calling the store ahead of time. Well, it's no days off for people on the front lines in Millsboro as this second winter storm is set to make its way through town. Streets have been cleared there, but snow still remains in plenty of places. And one shopper at the Tractor Supply Company in Millsboro says despite the freezing temperatures, the work still has to get done.
But with being in and out, it's normally like not too bad, but it does catch up after a while, you know, because with the wind and stuff like that, you really don't, your hands get numb and stuff like that.
Town officials in Millsboro say Public Works will be ready to answer the call if emergency situations arise this weekend. Now we're going to look live into Milford and hopefully get a better idea of whether this snow is really coming our way. Let's check in with meteorologist Bob Trihey. Good evening, Bob.
Good evening, Christina, and the bitter cold temperatures continue to have a firm grip on Delmarva. As a result, we continue with a cold weather advisory. This goes until 11 a.m. Friday for all of Delaware, for parts of the eastern shore as well. And then this deep blue color from Salisbury to Snow Hill, and then back towards Nanticoke and Deal Island, extreme cold watch through Sunday morning. Bottom line, it's just going to be cold, and it's going to stay that way until the weekend. 17 in Georgetown right now, 16 in Milton, 15 in Redden, with 17 in Bethany Beach. So very, very cold. And there's still a breeze for some of us, and it doesn't take much of a wind to knock down that feels like temperature. It feels like 13 in Gumboro, 10 in Lewis right now, 17 in Georgetown. And I think we will be dipping into the single digits overnight. On the satellite picture, we have some high clouds, so that could be preventing the temperatures from tumbling temporarily, but we are seeing clearing skies behind this system as the cold air continues to pour in from the north and west. And we're looking at futurecasts through the overnight and into tomorrow morning. Temperatures about 10 to 15 degrees, even some single digits, and then very cold into Friday around 12:30, teens and low 20s. We could set a record cold high as we go into tomorrow, but overnight, look at this, down to about 9 as we head into 7 a.m., feeling like 0. Bitterly cold conditions as we go into the next couple of days. And the chances for snow into the weekend, they're beginning to lower, but there's still a chance. I'll talk about that system coming up a little bit later on.
Still a chance. Okay, thank you for that, Bob. Now to Ocean City, where one wrong step onto thin ice can become a rescue call. Today, the Ocean City Fire Department was preparing for exactly that as our waterways freeze over. The department got hands-on rescue training, practicing what to do if a person or pet falls through the frozen water.
Don't attempt to rescue someone on your own. Dial 911 immediately, tell them that help is on the way, and try to reach something to them, throw something to them, such as rope, and then if you have a boat or something like that, you can row out to them. But whatever you do, do not attempt to make an ice rescue yourself unless you're trained, because then we could see ourselves with 2 victims and more as people try to make those rescues.
The department also urging parents to talk with children about staying away from frozen waters, and they also warn that ice thickness can vary. Even ice that looks sturdy can still break in seconds. Now, during this extreme cold, everyone, of course, wants to stay warm, but using more energy means more expensive power bills. Coast TV reporter Emma Aiken spoke with 2 electric companies today who say it takes much more energy to warm your house in these conditions, and they say small measures that you take can actually help the entire power grid.
Snow still covering Delmarva with the threat of a coastal storm now on the way.
At least in recent memory, this has been the longest stretch of cold weather.
Lauren Irby with Delaware Electric Cooperative says it's always better to be over-prepared.
Encouraging our members to have an emergency preparedness kit, medications that they take, even pet food if you have pets, things like that. You're able to bundle up. You have an emergency plan with your friends and family members.
And if you're worried about higher than usual energy bills, Heather Constant with Delaware Municipal Electric Corporation says conservation is key.
We need lower usage, but this time it's going to be usually between the hours of 6 and 9 a.m. because of how cold it gets overnight. So during the summer, it's pretty much after work, but in the wintertime, it's in the morning when everyone's HVAC units are turning on.
Another thing experts say you can do to see how much of this cold air is getting into your house is take a dollar bill or a small piece of paper, like a receipt, go to the bottom of your door and try to slide it underneath the door. If it can't go through like this, that's a good thing. That means not too much cold air is getting into your house.
If you have a ceiling fan, have it running on low, but going clockwise, so that it is pushing any warm air that is rising up to your ceilings and keeping it down in your living space.
When the cold won't quit, every switch matters.
Emma Aiken reporting there. And a few more tips here. Experts say a humidifier can also help because the warmer air actually gets trapped in the moist air, so that's a good alternative. Experts say a space heater is not the best because that uses a lot of energy and it may raise the cost of your power bill. Meanwhile, state lawmakers are considering a proposal that could send electric bill rebates directly to customers. Republican Senator Gerald Hawker has introduced updated legislation that would return excess revenue from a regional climate program to ratepayers, while also keeping funding for energy efficiency and low-income assistance in place. That bill now headed to committee. We're going to check on our Coast TV poll now. We're asking you today, how do you feel about winter storms? We just had one, another one's on the way. Let's take a look. 21% say bring it on. 2% slightly anxious, 64% most people hate the cold, and 13% are just over it. I understand. If you haven't voted, please do. Go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Let us know what you think. And make sure you download that Coast TV weather app as we head into the storm. We're also going to have coverage here on Saturday and Sunday. On Sunday, that's exclusively on our app. We're going to have a broadcast with our sister station, WBOC. That's going to be Sunday at 8 a.m. and then 6 p.m. Sunday. We're back on the air Sunday night at 11. And you can also watch any of our newscasts on TV. Even if you don't have cable, you just have to download the Coast TV app. That's on Roku, Fire TV, or Apple TV. Looking at national news now, new developments today in Minneapolis as Tom Homan held his first press conference since taking over the immigration crackdown, where he said there will be a drawdown of federal law enforcement in the state, with agencies working on that plan right now. Brian Abel reports the latest from Washington.
Less than a week since the killing of Alex Preddy by federal immigration enforcement agents.
I came here to seek solutions, and that's what we're going to do.
White House border czar Tom Homan, newly installed to lead Minnesota operations, announcing an eventual drawdown of ICE enforcement in the state.
The mission is going to improve because of the changes we're making internally. No agency or organization is perfect.
Homan saying officers will focus less on the street operations and more on working in jails and prisons. The change in direction comes amid heavy criticism for their severe and sweeping tactics and frustration from Democrats in Washington who are seeking ICE reform concessions from Republicans before a critical funding vote.
I'm not going to vote for another dime until there are real changes. Get rid of the masks, mandate body cameras, no warrantless searches.
All of this as new video surfaces from 11 days before Alex Preddy was killed, showing a physical clash between Preddy and federal agents. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey addressing the incident Wednesday night.
Are we actually making the argument that Alex Preddy should be killed for something that happened like 11 days prior to the shooting itself? No, I think we should be talking about the circumstances that actually led to the killing and what took place.
In Washington, Brian Abel reporting.
We are just getting started. More news ahead. That's including Governor Meyer's proposed budget for fiscal year 2027. We'll tell you what's included. But first, a life-saving response. How a serious crash that nearly took the life of a Sussex County bicyclist is the latest example of new blood techniques used by first responders. That's next. And a bit later, Bob Trehey is in the CoastTV First Alert Weather Center tracking these dangerous temperatures and possibly some weekend snow. He has your full forecast in just a bit.
Bicycling on trails and roads is a big activity in the communities where we live, but because those cyclists share those roads with cars and trucks, it can sometimes lead to tragedy, and that was nearly the case in one such incident over the summer. But thanks to a good Samaritan, first responders, and a new blood technique, one man who was hit hopes to ride his bike again. A summer bike ride on the Lewis-Georgetown Trail, a ride that was life-changing for Chris Evans.
I guess there was a car coming that I didn't see.
I received a call from BB Hospital, an actual ER nurse who had said my husband was in a severe accident.
He was hit by an SUV, which left him with a brain injury, dozens of broken bones, damage to his kidneys and liver.
He had a brain injury as well. So it was very extensive, and they did not know if he would survive.
And that is when paramedics helped Evans with a fairly new treatment called whole blood. Whole blood has red blood cells, clotting factors, platelets, and plasma.
Whole blood was the absolute difference. There is no chance that we're here today without whole blood in the back of the ambulance.
The year Cowan referred to was the Sussex County Public Safety Headquarters in December. It was a reunion between Evans and those who helped save his life.
You're a mess. You're a mess. I've seen some ugly stuff, but you're a mess. And I'm happy to see you sitting here.
Chris is here today with his family to celebrate the holidays, which is the biggest blessing we could ever have.
This whole event made me realize how fragile life really is. And I hope I don't get emotional about it, but I'm here because they do what they do, and that's the basic.
Chris had a walking stick with him on this day, and though he is still working towards a full recovery, Chris Evans is determined to get back to riding his bike. For Coastal Connections, I'm Matt Pensick.
Well, today was one of the coldest days of the winter so far, and we could be doing that again tomorrow, maybe setting a record cold high at that time, but only 23 in Georgetown today, Salisbury and Ocean City at 25 in Cambridge as well. We should be in the mid-40s, so temperatures at least 20 degrees below average. As we take a live look at the Spicer Brothers cam over SU right now, and the days ahead, dangerously cold. We're looking at sub-zero wind chills at times, especially in the morning hours. And then for the weekend, big question marks. We're looking at a coastal storm on the way, and the latest models are putting a lot of the snow to our south across the Carolinas and not in our neck of the woods. So we'll have to see if that trend continues. So we're going to see impacts at the coast, primarily wind and beach erosion, maybe a little bit of snow. More on that coming up, but we do know that the frostbite risk is pretty high. We're looking at these sub-zero wind chills of about 2 to 5 below zero Friday right into the weekend. A little better on Tuesday, but anytime we're in that range, you really want to make sure you cover up the extremities because it is that cold and prolonged exposure could cause frostbite. It is cold right now, 15 in Redden, 18 in Millsboro, 12 in Willards and Ocean Pines, and 17 in Bethany Beach. As we have calm conditions in some places, a little bit of a breeze in others. So the wind chill value down to about 8 in Lewis, 12 in Willards, 12 in Ocean Pines. Bundle up. And by tomorrow morning, we're looking at sub-zero wind chills, maybe as cold as 5 below, only feeling like single digits in the afternoon. By Sunday morning, feeling like sub-zero. And with the windy conditions Saturday evening, feeling like single digits. As we're seeing some high clouds out there right now, but they're beginning to clear out. And once they clear out, temperatures tumble. And we have a stationary boundary to our south and west. And we're seeing a disturbance dropping down through the plains. And that will be our coastal storm as we go into the weekend. Here's Futurecast through the overnight with clear skies. Temperatures tumbling down to about 10 to 15 degrees. And then once again, maybe a cold record high tomorrow with temperatures in the low 20s. And then very cold as we go into your Saturday morning in the single digits and teens. Now, we're looking at the system to our south, and the latest models, a lot of them are keeping the snow to our south. And here is the latest in-house model. We've got the clouds building in Saturday night into Sunday, but where's the snow? Well, maybe getting up to Chincoteague, but a lot of the snow on a lot of these models staying off to our south and east, just giving us cloudy skies. We'll have to see if that trend continues. We're in a storm watch for Somerset and Worcester counties, and then we're looking at the lion's share of the snow across the Carolinas, where we could see a good thumping of snow there, maybe about a foot across the eastern part of North Carolina. That's where the brunt of the snow probably will be. We're going to see strong winds, maybe over 50 miles per hour, beach erosion and tidal flooding as well. European model keeping a lot of the heavy snow offshore, just clipping us with a little bit of that light snow. So I have knocked back snow totals 1 to 3 inches across the Delaware coast and Maryland, with a coating to 1 inch a little bit farther off to the north and west. And this could come down even more in the days to come. We do know it'll be very windy as we go into your Sunday morning. Wind gusts to about 50 miles per hour. Bitter cold tonight with a low of 822 tomorrow. Paul Davis 7-day forecast. Yellow alert now later Saturday into Sunday. That might have to be dropped though. Still thinking snow. Groundhog Day 33. A little warmer after that.
All right. Thanks again, Bob. We're turning regionally now to Prince George's County in Maryland, where crews have made progress in clearing roads, but there are still many neighborhoods that have not been plowed. Mauricio Casillas has a look at one road that's been hit particularly hard by the storm.
No relief in sight as residents here are left with the daunting task of navigating this thick, slippery ice.
If I had to get out, I would feel really nervous trying to get up that hill. And I would just have to say a prayer and risk it. But no, I don't feel confident going up it. No, I don't.
Cynthia MacArthur Parker has been vocal about the dangerous conditions she and others have had to face on Noah Drive when it snows. I met her last year when she spoke to Prince George's County Council leaders about her concerns during a meeting.
I don't know whether I want to say it's good to see you or not.
Here we are again a year later with more snow and more ice. She says she put in a 311 request and was told crews could be responding by Friday. And Cynthia's neighbor, Cache Jones, received this response when she reached out to 311.
I literally just received a text at 11:46 today saying that my issue has been resolved. If you look around, my issue has not been resolved. Clearly it has not been resolved.
The Prince George's County Department of Public Works and Transportation says 100% of primary and secondary roads in the county have been plowed, and 52% of residential roads are considered passable, which they say is significant improvement from the response during last year's storm. But county leaders say they understand the frustration for those who are still stuck.
We get it. If that 52 is not you, that you are ready for 100%. And that is what we are striving to do as fast as possible.
And take a look. This is what some residents in Upper Marlboro had to deal with as well. A similar scene, streets caked with thick ice.
We've made at least 4 passes just on our driveway. I haven't even left my driveway, though, because my street is still not plowed.
So for now, residents in neighborhoods like these are just going to have to hunker down and continue to wait for help.
I want to be patient with them, but at the same time, I want them to be reasonable, with us. Like I said, we pay taxes, We're not asking for a favor.
In other news, back here in Delaware, a proposed $7 billion budget is now on the table here in Delaware. Today, Governor Meyer presented his proposed fiscal year 2027 budget, highlighting investments in children, housing, healthcare, and the workforce. The budget keeps operating growth under 5%, which lawmakers say is encouraging after fiscal year 2024, when spending growth outpaced revenue by more than 9%. Lawmakers call the plan a solid starting point, and they say they're looking forward to reviewing the details in the budget as it takes shape.
There's nothing that really stands out in the governor's budget as being wildly out of line. There's not any, new massive initiatives or spending programs. Again, it seems to be really focused on our workforce and healthcare and education.
When you go from 10% growth down to 4.9, that's commendable to the governor. I shared with him earlier today that I appreciated his presentation, and my caucus looks forward to working with him.
So the budget now goes to the lawmakers, who will begin review and discussion in the Joint Finance Committee in February. Their lawmakers will debate and refine the proposal to have it ready before the June 30th deadline. Coming up in sports tonight, the Eagles have named a new offensive coordinator. History says he may not last long in the role, though.
And congratulations to Jeff Kubin from Ocean View on winning a new umbrella from Paul Davis and CoastTV. We have a slight chance of snow into the weekend, still very cold. Your 10-day forecast coming up, and more news coming up after the break.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Well, it's called the State of Tobacco Control, an annual report card that grades state and federal efforts to reduce tobacco use. The analysis, which was released today, comes with a warning. In tonight's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither explains why experts are worried that hard-won progress in tobacco use may be at risk.
In its newly released annual report card, the American Lung Association says smoking rates for adults dropped from just over 23% in 2000 to below 11% in 2023. And while youth tobacco use is at its lowest level in 25 years, more than 2 million middle and high school students still use tobacco, including e-cigarettes.
Certainly not necessarily something a report card you'd want to bring home to your parents.
Despite major strides, tobacco use remains the leading cause of preventable death and disease in the U.S., claiming more than 490,000 lives every year. And the report warns progress could quickly unravel due to changes in tobacco use prevention and cessation efforts.
I want to see us continue to fight and drive down smoking rates so nobody has to deal with the consequences.
When it comes to regulation of tobacco products and coverage of treatments to help people quit smoking, the report gives the federal government a D. It received an F for the level of federal tobacco taxes and an I for incomplete on mass media campaigns aimed at preventing and reducing use. A B was given for funding tobacco prevention and control, and state grades were also a concern.
No state got all A's, but there were a few. They got the few best states, including California, Colorado, Delaware, D.C., Maine, and Massachusetts. And then the states with the worst grades, scoring Fs in all 5 grading categories, were Georgia, Mississippi, Texas, and Alabama.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
For the 5th time in 5 years, the Eagles have named a new offensive coordinator. Packers quarterbacks coach Sean Mannion is taking over. We'll get into more detail on him in a bit, but let's start from the beginning, which is 2022. The Eagles may have fell to the Chiefs in Super Bowl 57, but that wasn't their only loss. In his second year with Philadelphia, offensive coordinator Shane Steichen's group scored 28 points per game, the 3rd highest average in the NFL. So after the season, he was hired to be the head coach of the Colts. So the Eagles promoted QB coach Brian Johnson. The offense dipped a bit down to 25 points a game, still top 10, but Philly finished the year 1-6, including a first-round playoff exit, and fingers were pointed at Johnson. He was fired and replaced by Kellen Moore, the previous OC for the Chargers. He was jobless after LA fired its head coach. So the Eagles swooped in, and boy did it pay off. The stats were great, but more importantly, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Unsurprisingly, Moore earned a head coaching job with the Saints, so Philly had to go back to the drawing board again and promoted from within again. Passing game coordinator Kevin Patullo took over the offense, and this was not a earn a high coaching job type of season. The Eagles ranked 19th in points per game, worse than any other year we've gone over so far. So the Eagles fired Patullo 2 weeks ago, and today Sean Mannion begins his journey. History says it's either going to go really well or really poorly, and only time will tell. That'll do it for sports.
And don't forget, the Super Bowl airs right here on Coast TV News on Sunday, February 8th. Pre-game starts at 1 and kickoff is at 6:30.
Tumbling temperatures overnight from the teens to about 9 by 7 a.m. Feeling like 0 at the wind, some sub-zero wind chills. Make sure you bundle up, cover up the extremities. It's going to be bitterly cold. Call the Coast TV First Alert weather phone. It's sponsored by Brockstead Mandalis Federico. Could have a record cold high tomorrow of 22. Paul Davis 10-day forecast. I do have a yellow alert later Saturday into Sunday for the potential of snow. Right now the chances are going down. Groundhog Day 33. And we finally get a chance to see temperatures above freezing into next week. Maybe another snow chance on Saturday, but nice to see some melting next week, Christina.
Yay, can't wait for 37 degrees. Thank you, Bob, and thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 11 tonight. You can find more news and more weather on our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show is up next, and we're back tomorrow at 5 a.m. Have a great night.